This is CBSSports.com's College Basketball 360. I'm Kevin Cork. Great to have you with us once again, everybody. Time now for our ACC season preview. And for that, we are thrilled to have our college basketball insiders, Gary Parrish and Jeff Goodman, joining us on the program. Guys, I think everybody is saying right now, North Carolina is the team to beat. So I want to get your winner of the conference in the preseason, beginning first with you, Gary, then over to you, Jeff.
I do think it's North Carolina, but I recognize why some might be skeptics of them. They lost a lot. Tyler Zeller, Kendall Marshall, Harrison Barnes, John Henson. Roy's obviously had some health issues that he's dealing with coming into this season. But still, you look at the roster, and it's elite recruit after elite recruit after elite recruit. You get Leslie McDonald back healthy. You get Dexter Strickland back healthy. If you want to pick NC State or even Duke, I won't say you're crazy, but I think Carolina, given the talent within the program still, deserves the benefit of the doubt.
I agreed with you, Gary, up until I saw him in Tobacco Road, and now I've gotten smart, and I think NC State is the pick here. And I think the biggest reason is Lorenzo Brown. Point guard play is obviously critical. We know that. North Carolina's got a freshman in Marcus Page who weighs about, well, maybe half of what you do, Gary. He weighs about 7. And Lorenzo Brown, to me, is a stud, one of the best point guards in the country. They've got plenty of talent around him. I'm just worried about this Carolina team and how they fit together, whether P.J. Harrison's going to be able to come to play, Strickland coming back from the injury, McDonald. Again, I'm just worried. I'm going with NC State here.
Let me piggyback for just a second there on what Jeff had to say, Gary. Listen, NC State is flat out loaded. Are you sort of buying the argument? Listen, a lot of the league coaches feel like the Wolfpack is a team to be reckoned with.
They certainly are. I mean, but let's look at it a different way than just returning good pieces from a Sweet 16 team. They were also 9-7 in the ACC last year and barely got into the NCAA tournament. In this sport, more than any other, we remember how things ended and then disregard 3 months of basketball. But for 3.5 months of basketball, from November to early March, they were just an okay team, not a top 25 team, and somebody that was an 11 seed in the NCAA tournament. So if you want to believe in them, fine. This is the year to do it, given that Duke is down, at least in terms of roster experience, and Carolina seems down, at least in terms of experience. But the idea that NC State's some sure thing, they played basketball for 4 months last year, and they never looked like a sure thing then.
Gary's just an NC State hater, that's all. Mark Gottfried, to me, again, last year, you're right. They struggled early, but they were trying to get used to Gottfried's system. Lorenzo Brown was trying to get used to just playing the point guard position full time. He's a totally different player. Scott Wood can shoot that you-know-what out of the ball. C.J. Leslie's a monster down there low, athletic, and he's learned how to play the game now. Richard Howell, those are 4 Sidney Low recruits. And Mark Gottfried added a bunch of freshmen, and that's what I think makes NC State the team to beat, really, in the ACC this year.
This is the ACC Preview here on College Basketball 360. I'm Kevin Cork, thrilled to be joined by our experts, our insiders, Gary Parrish and Jeff Goodman on the show. Guys, I want to ask you about the Duke Blue Devils. A lot of people saying maybe third for Duke. I can't remember, Gary, the last time that people were talking about a Coach K team finishing third. First to you, then to Jeff. Is that where the Blue Devils will round out the season?
They can be there. I mean, it's very reasonable to predict them to be there. But sometimes you need to pay attention to history, and I think around the country there's a couple of coaches that just deserve the benefit of the doubt. It doesn't matter who's on their roster, they're always good. O'Ryan at Wisconsin is an obvious example, and I think Mike Krzyzewski is another one. The reason you can't remember them finishing third is because they almost never do, Kevin. They were, in the past 16 years, they finished no worse than tied for second in 14 of those seasons. So can they finish third? Yeah. The roster isn't overly impressive, and I do think it's an inferior roster to what Roy Williams has at Carolina and Mark Gottfried has at NC State. But still, it's Mike Krzyzewski and guys in Duke uniforms, and regardless of who those guys are, history suggests for a long time now that those guys are usually pretty good and at the top, or at least real near it, of the ACC.
I just worry about this team. I worry about point guard play again with Quinn Cook. He's a sophomore. He's got to look much better. They've got young guys like Rasheed Suleiman and Alex Murphy that they're really relying on. I know, Gary, you think 14 out of 16. I like that number too. But NC State over about 10 of those years was coached by Sidney Lowe and Herb Sendek, and they really weren't much of a threat. Now they are, and that's why I think Duke realistically could finish third in the league.
A lot lot of people will be saying shades of Jimmy V when they talk about this year's Wolfpack. We'll have to all obviously wait and see and find out. Jeff Goodman and Gary Parrish with us here on College Basketball 360 with our ACC preview. And a reminder, everybody, if you go to our website, cbssports.com, you can also find out how our experts are saying the ACC will round up in our preseason poll. Right now, the North Carolina Tar Heels are still favored by our panel of experts, to be followed by the Wolfpack, Blue Devils, Seminoles, Hurricanes, and the Terrapins rounding out the top 6, followed by the Cavs, Tigers, Yellow Jackets, Hokies, and the Demon Deacons. By the way, also at our website, you can see our preseason All-ACC team, including our preseason player of the year, James Michael McAdoo. What a great player. You also heard the guys mention perhaps our preseason freshman of the year, Marcus Page. Keep an eye on him. And our All-League team, including Plumlee, McAdoo, Leslie, Brown, and Snayer. Of course, the Seminoles won the ACC a year ago. This has been your College Basketball 360 ACC Preview. I'm Kevin Cork. For Gary Parrish and Jeff Goodman, we'll see you again next time at our website, cbssports.com.